Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1584.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. I'm revved up and so excited to share with you today a very special guest calling in all the way from Melbourne, Australia. He's already in his tomorrow, so I wanted to know what the winning lotteries are going to be, but he wouldn't share that with me. His name's Hugh Barter. He said it doesn't work that way, Mark. Hugh Barter is a racer with a very clear goal, and his goal? To win the Formula One championship one day. He was born in Japan and lives in Melbourne, Australia, where he has raced since the young age of 7 in Australia's Cadet series, and he can't wait for the race weekends to come and compete. Hugh runs in the KA class in karting, Junior Max, Ka4 and KA3. He has multiple wins and podium finishes, and his talent and enthusiasm and persistence and discipline has set a course for a life of racing. He's appeared on television shows, radio shows, and now the Cars Yeah podcast, and is a regular in media in Australia. Oh, did I forget to mention that Hugh is only 14 years old. Hugh, I will welcome you in just a minute to the show, but first we're going to take a break. We're going to thank our sponsors that make this possible, because in racing, sponsors are important. We'll be right back, so stay buckled up. We're going to have a fun ride today. The most damaging thing to your vehicle's interior isn't that drink your kid spilled in the back seat. It's the sun. Harsh UV rays damage your interior over time. They crack your dash, they fade the colors inside your car, and the heat makes getting into your favorite ride downright unbearable. My friends at Covercraft have the perfect solution for you. Their sunscreens are easy to use, they take seconds to install, and they protect your vehicle while parked in the harsh sun. They fold up easily and store away for those times you don't want to use your car cover. I have one for every one of my vehicles, and you should too. They come in a variety of colors and options, feature an accordion design that makes unfolding and folding them up a breeze. Want to give a gift that keeps on giving? Buy a sunscreen for your family members and your friends. They're custom made and fit almost any vehicle. Check out Covercraft.com for a huge number of styles, colors, and options that you're sure to love. And I've got a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH120, that's YEAH120 at Covercraft.com, you get 10% off your Covercraft order. Go to Covercraft.com and use the code YEAH120 at checkout, and you've got a deal. That's Covercraft.com. Use the code YEAH120 at checkout. Covercraft, they've got you covered. Get your sunscreen today. You'll thank me for it later. What do you do after running a race team for 27 years with over 100 professional wins, multiple wins at the 24-Hour of Daytona, and a win at Le Mans? Well, if you're Kevin Buckler, racer and the racing group's team owner, you create Adobe Road Winery. Located in Petaluma, California, he and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series, 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own. Like racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, and a whole lot of fun. You can choose from 4 blends titled Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. Today I'm going to tell you about Redline. It's a rich and complex blend delivering a taste of ripe blackberries, black cherry licorice, and a hint of toasty oak. An added very cool option is that this features the world's first interactive wine label. That's right. When you pour the wine, the 3-dimensional tachometer actually hits the red line. It's incredible. The Racing Series is a killer gift for the automotive enthusiast in your life, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word in all caps, when you go to checkout, you'll get $10 off any purchase of wines from the Racing Series. The wine ships promptly and arrives quickly right at your door. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout for $10 off of your purchase today. There's always a seat at the table for excellence with the Racing Series. Go to adoberoadwines.com and use the code CARSYEAH to save $10 today. Cheers! Hey Hugh, welcome to Cars Yeah, my friend. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Yep, I'm all strapped in and ready to go.
All right, this is very cool. Well, before we start this journey of racing and the life you've chosen for yourself, I want you to tell my listeners maybe one little thing that most people don't know about Hugh Barter.
Ooh, that's a good question, actually. I've never been asked this before. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I've shared across social media, how I got into cars. Probably what not most people know is like at the age of 4 and 3, I was already kind of into the motorsport industry and, the car side of things. Like at, I think the age of 3, I picked up a screwdriver, not knowing what it was. I was living in Japan at this time and I tried to work on my scooter, even though I didn't even know what it did. And so it was even at such a young age and not knowing what half the stuff did, I was already working on my scooter. So that's
pretty cool. Yeah, it's good for a race car driver to have some mechanical skills. So I'm not going to ask your mom why she was letting a 3-year-old walk around with a screwdriver in his hand. But, I think it was a good start for you. Obviously, she had one eye on you for that. So no doubt you were in safe hands. I think this is pretty cool. And, you're probably the youngest person I've had on the show. I have had another 14-year-old. He was in the car detailing business. I've had some 15, 16, 17-year-old racers on the show, but I think you may be the youngest racer that I've had on the show. So this is pretty cool, and we're going to have a pretty fun ride. And I think the fact that I'm talking to somebody on the other side of the planet today is a testament to the wonderful world of technology that we live in. So let's take a little journey here, Hugh. I would love for you to share a success quote, a mantra, some kind of saying that has a meaning for you in your life as a racer. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tire smoking a little bit here on Cars. Yeah. Hugh, I know you love to drive, so take the wheel, young man.
Oh man, these are some good questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have my own quote. I have a whole bunch of other quotes that other people have said, like Mario Andretti's quote saying that if you feel like you're comfortable, then you're not driving fast enough. And you've got Senna's quote, obviously the if you see a gap and don't go for it, you're no longer a racing car driver. There are so many quotes in motorsport these days now that come from so many inspiring people, Niki Lauda, James Hunt. There's just like so many legends around these days that not necessarily have passed away, but, just aren't racing anymore. But yeah, I don't really have my own quote. That's probably something I've got to, comes naturally. I have to say that probably when I feel like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's play a little game here, because I think at some point in time, as you develop your career, you're going to have your own quotes and sayings. There's nothing wrong with running on other people's quotes. And you mentioned a couple legendary people there. Of course, Niki Lauda, who we just lost last year, of course, due to age and health. And James Hunt, of course, who died at a very young age, not at the wheel of a car, but I believe he had a heart attack or something like that. Maybe he lived life a little too fast or a little too carefree. Senna, of course, is one of my favorites. I actually have one of Senna's quotes on the back of my business card. You want to know what that is? I'll tell you.
Main one?
No, I'll tell you. What it is the past is just data. I only see the future. And I think it's a great quote. I think I'm a much older guy than you, but let me ask you this. You cited a couple quotes there. If there was a quote that somebody else has said that kind of stands out for you, could you tell me why that has some particular meaning for you?
I like just the original, if you don't go for the gap, you're no longer a racing car driver. I don't think that quote probably some people take to too far of an extent. They go for some moves that are not quite there, but as a young karter from Japan, I was very cautious on how I drove, and a lot of the time I needed to let's say, grow some balls.
It'd be a little more aggressive, yeah.
Yeah. So I needed to work on my game, to make a move, and that was one of the quotes that kind of pushed me more towards the side to doing that. Not to an extent where I was driving like people and off the track. I was now able to, go for that move, and even with a slight gap, I was like making people make that gap bigger by forcing them to, because I was coming through, so it was like forcing them to open up the gap a bit, because if they didn't, then we weren't going to make the corner.
Absolutely. One of the things about that quote, and I like that quote a lot because it also has a great meaning to life, and that is take a chance, try something different, try something new, go for it. And that's how great things in life happen in careers and so forth, and definitely for a race car driver. Now let's talk a little bit about why you think you've chosen this path in your life to be a racer. You're a very young man. You have a long way to go. However, you've come a long way too. I mean, for somebody to start racing half your life ago, in essence, it's 7 or so, and now you're 14 and you're on your way. What made you strive to be a race car driver? Why are you pursuing this? A lot of young people get in a kart and have fun and they go home and that's the end of it, but not you. I mean, this is a major part of your life, and to set a goal of being an F1 driver is a major, major goal that not too many young people, even at your age, can even envision. So what is it about racing that gets you so excited about getting out of bed every day?
It's just the adrenaline, man. Like when you hop out of bed and you have that goal to win, coming across the line and winning is just it's such a rush. So it's something when I'm driving, I can forget everything else that's kind of going on, and just drive. It's like that's the only focus when I'm out on track. There's so much rush, and the adrenaline is just all pumped up, and you're really just in the moment, sort of thing. It's an amazing feeling, not to just win, but to just be able to drive. And I don't know, at the age of, I think it was 3 when I come to Australia, then I think I was at age of 4 when I went to the V8s at Phillip Island. I always talk about this when I'm on interviews, and I think walking back from after watching the V8s that day, and we saw this simulator company packing up, I begged my dad to go on it. I don't know how tall I was. I'm only 5 foot now, and I just hit it 6 months ago, and I'm at the age of 14. So I'm very small.
Yeah.
And I was begged him for 500 meters. I was just begging him. So he asked the guys, could I hop on and him to do the pedals, and I'll just steer.
Yeah.
And well, they said, yeah, no worries. And I got on, and we'd drive around Bathurst, like one of the most, prestigious Australian circuits.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I only crashed once at the age of 4. Yeah. So everybody, after I hopped off, everybody was cheering me, and Dad thought, you know what, we'll buy a PlayStation, get some games, see how it goes, and by the age of 5, I had a go-kart, so it's just gone from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really fun, and there's always a point in time in a young man or a young woman's life, or even later, that signifies that starting point when that spark is lit to engage in something. And for you to be able to sit on that simulators, are simulators something that you use now as a training tool?
Yeah, heaps. Probably not as much as, a couple years ago, since the technology wasn't there. That's just how fast it's developed over the past couple years. But yeah, I've used heaps of simulators, and they help. I've got one at home that I use. It's really not to fine tune, because that's pretty much what you do out on track. That's what testing's for, to fine tune your skills. It's just more to keep your skills intact. It's there to help out, find a couple problems in your driving, because you can look over data now, so you can find that you're inconsistent there, that your standard deviation is off. It just really helps with getting those main points that intact, so when you go out to the track, you're not worrying about, am I doing this wrong, am I doing that wrong? You can just focus on sharpening your skills up, being consistent, and all those things.
Well, simulators have come such a long way. I had a guest on the show Chris Considine, who owns CRX simulators, and I was at his facility in Los Angeles, and I've never sat in a simulator that was so real and so authentic, and it was just so much fun. Let me ask you this. If there's a young person out there listening to us talk today, and you're such an inspiration for people, and they think that they would like to get into racing, what's a key piece of information or advice you might offer them as a place to start?
Ooh, place to start. Definitely as a young kid, you want to start in karts. Yeah. Do you mean by this question, do you mean where to start in the mindset or just in the industry?
Well,
Like,
I think really both because karting is such a great place for people to start, and it's somewhat inexpensive. I know as you get up into the ranks, it gets more and more expensive, but definitely I think it's important, and I would hope you would agree, to start in karts before you can even drive automobiles because it gives you a lot of what we call seat time in racing, right? If you think somebody like Senna, I mean, he was racing karts before he jumped into cars, and I mean, the guy was a magician in a kart. I mean, he was incredible. You can still find videos of him. So let's just say I'm a young person. I'm 10, 11, 12 years old, and I listen to you today, and I go, man, I want to do what Hugh's doing. Where do I begin?
yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, definitely start in kart. I say you can start in karts in Australia at the age of 5, but you can't race professionally, I think, until the age of 7. So like race under the like main events.
Yeah.
So like, club days and all of that. You can test while you're at 5, but not race. And then I would do, a couple years or more than a couple years. So I'm 14 now. And our plans are to get out of karts by the end of the year. Yeah, so I would say get out of karts before you turn 16, let's say, because by then you have to go up to seniors, and I think you're just leaving it too late by then. Yeah, so you probably want to do that to start off your career. There are multiple kart brands. It's pretty easy to just find your nearest kart store. Exactly. In Australia, it's, I don't know, it's pretty easy saying you can just do this, but the expenses are pretty harsh in the motorsport industry. Yeah, so definitely karts is your
starting point.
Spot. Yeah,
for sure. Well, and then what are your thoughts or your plans as you move through the sequence of the types of cars? I noticed on your document that you sent me, you have a very succinct plan on the journey ahead of you because your ultimate goal is Ferrari or F1, maybe with Ferrari. Who knows? We'll see where you end up, but who signs you? But what's the progression after karts that you see will work for you?
Yeah, so at the end of the year, we'll be driving the Richard Mille Scholarship, which is in an F4, which is like a smaller version of an F3, basically, which is a small version of F2, and then an F2 is like the small version of an F1.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a stepping stone towards F1. So it's probably going to get pretty expensive quite soon.
Yeah,
not saying
no
that
kidding.
it's not right now. Yeah, so it's going to be we need a lot of sponsors to come on board, but I guess that's something we can develop in the next couple of months. And doing things like this might help. Never know. Yeah. So we'll be doing that. And if we do get that scholarship, it'll really help with the fundings for next year's French F4 series that we're planning on doing, since that is pretty expensive and it funds the entries, I think, and a couple other things. So it's really good. That pretty much gives it away that we're trying to get into the French F4 series for next year, and maybe depending on funds, we might do the Italian French F4.
Wow, it sounds like you got your path laid out for you. I always like to ask my guests about a challenge in their life. Now, it almost seems kind of silly to ask a 14-year-old about challenges in your life, but you know what? Young people have challenges in their life, and especially trying to be a race car driver is immensely challenging. So maybe you could share with me one time in your career as a racer that seemed very challenging. Maybe it was a point where you felt like, oh man, this is what I want to do, or how are we going to get through this? Kind of walk us through that journey and then tell us what you learned from it so that you could take that lesson forward in a positive way.
I always felt challenged to get my mindset correct in just general. Like when I'm sitting on the grid, I always felt like trying to get my nerves intact was extremely hard. I feel like a lot of the time race car drivers are quick. Most of them are quick, but what it really comes down to is your mindset and your consistency. Everyone can do a quick time, let's say in karts at this track might be a 48.8, and let's say 50% of the field can do a 48.8 in their entire life. Mm-hmm. And someone might come up to you and be like, I've done that time, but they only qualified 25th. That might be because they're sitting on the grid and they're nervous. And when they do go out there, they don't perform to the max. And that's what I always struggled with. And I had to go see some some people would help me out. I don't know if you know someone called by the name Noel Blundell.
No, I don't. Who is that?
He's a sports psychologist, and he helped me out heaps and teaching me how to keep my nerves intact. And being Japanese, I like to put some data into that and show me, the facts of how it all works. And he was really good with that. So he helped me out heaps. And really from then, that's when our results started coming. Because for years, we would start, off the weekend kind of average. And then at the final, all of a sudden, our pace would go really good because I had nothing to lose at that point because I would be started 10th or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's 10th is like, well, that's top 10,
Yeah.
But
there 10th,
you go. There's another 9 cars in front of you that you want to beat.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah.
That's when our results started coming. Seriously, the meeting that after we went to the first meeting with Noel, we qualified on pole, won 2 race heats, came second in one of them, come towards the final and just was unlucky. And we have 2 pins that go into the brake pad and one of the pins come out.
Oh, no.
Then we had the brakes dragging. But, it happens.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was a really good result because we saw that we're getting results out of it. And, yeah.
You're improving. I had a guest on my show. Do you know a gentleman named Jacques Dallaire?
No.
He wrote a book, has a company called Performance Prime, and I would highly recommend that you look him up. He has a website, and I'll send you links to this. Amazing guy, and he's helped many race car drivers win, including Formula One drivers. He's done a marvelous job, and his book is all about getting your mind right for whatever you're seeking to do in life. So I would encourage you to look that up, have your parents buy you that book and read it. I think it's exactly what this person that you were talking with helped you with, and that's getting your mind right, focus right, so that you can perform at your peak performance and be a performance prime, if you will. That's exactly what you were talking about, and I think you could certainly benefit from what Jacques Dallaire has done. He's actually been a guest twice on my show now, so you can go back and listen to them. A very thoughtful guy, and I got to meet him in person at an event I was speaking at, and he was speaking there as well, and he's really great to listen to. Let's take a short break and thank our sponsors, but we're going to be right back and talk a little bit more about your passion for racing and cars. So sit tight, stay buckled up. We'll be right back. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for enthusiasts and collectors. It's your monthly must-read, whether you dream of owning a collector car, maybe you have 2, or maybe you've got 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. And don't miss my weekly podcast with Keith Martin titled Buy, Sell, Hold. It's the essence of collecting. We talk to the movers and shakers in the collector car world. Here's a couple deals I have for you just for listening here on Cars Yeah. If you use the checkout code Cars Yeah, you'll receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription at Sports Car Market. That's an exclusive offer from Cars Yeah. And guess what? Here's another deal. If you'd like to get the actual magazine, use the code BSH for Buy, Sell, Hold. That's code BSH, and you'll get $10 off your annual print subscription. That's right, $10 off. Both of these are exclusive offers here at Cars Yeah for Sports Car Market Magazine. Just go to sportscarmarket.com and get your deals today. Let's take a pit stop from the conversation and talk about my charity of choice here at Cars Yeah, America's Automotive Trust. America's Automotive Trust is a group of like-minded nonprofits working together to preserve and promote car culture across the country. Together, they provide scholarships and grants to aspiring technicians and restoration artists. They provide youth education programs and bring communities together through auto-related events, car shows, and drives. One of those nonprofits is very near and dear to my heart because it's right down the road from the Cars Yeah headquarters. It's the LeMay America's Car Museum in Tacoma, Washington. One of the world's truly great automobile collections and one of those must-see bucket list destinations for car people like you and me. If you haven't seen it, I hope you make a trip soon. And if you have seen it, it's probably time to visit again. To learn more about this fantastic museum, go to www.americascarmuseum.org, and while you're there, you can donate to help them keep their engines running. That's www.americascarmuseum.org. All right, we're back, Hugh. You talked a little bit about being a little kid with a screwdriver at 3 and trying to fix your scooter, which is hilarious. Is there a pivotal moment? You kind of touched on this a bit earlier when you knew you definitely wanted to be a race car driver. Was that the experience at the simulator, or was it the first time you sat in a kart?
Yeah, definitely for sitting in the kart, because I guess the simulator didn't really give me a full feel of what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Sitting in the car, it was like, I don't know, I was putting around and the spark plug was having a go at me because I wasn't revving it hard enough, and it was flooded, and all sorts of stuff was going on. But yeah, even at such a young age and going that slow, I knew this is what I wanted to do. Yeah. It was just so much fun, and yeah.
No doubt. Hey, what was the first kart that you got in that you went, okay, I'm here. This is what I want to be doing? Was it that first racing kart you got, or was there one afterwards that was a little more high performance that really clicked all the boxes for you?
Ooh. I guess I enjoyed it, and I was like, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. But like, what really like cleared it up, and I was like, yeah, this is like definitely what I want to do. Yeah. I would say I'm not sure now saying this, probably 2014 when the new, was it 2014? No, 2015. Uh-huh. Pretty sure, yeah. 2015 when the new Mini Rock come out, the Vortex, and had just had so much more power that all the my previous engines, and the power, and I was like, at this point I'm not even in juniors yet, and so I was like, if the power is like this now, imagine it in like a couple of years, which is where I am now. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I think the engine that I run now is like 25. I got 25 horsepower in one of them, and the other one I've got like 28, I think. Yeah, it's just like, and it hits a rev limiter, and I think the rev limiter is like 1600, if I remember, 16.8. Something like that, yeah.
For those listeners that have never driven a shifter kart or a very fast go-kart, we're talking about like slot car speeds here. I mean, these things have so much power and they're so fast. They have a karting track here that have some pretty fast karts, and I have a friend that has some really fast shifter karts. And I tell you, after about an hour on the track, I get out, I feel like my ribs are broken. It's like the force going around the corners and my neck with a helmet. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the shifter karts are pretty violent on your body, because it's just so brutal, because it's just stop and go sort of thing through all the corners.
So you said that's a Vortex kart? Is that what that's called?
It's the model of the engine. So okay. Yeah, it's a Vortex DVS, which is one of them, and the other one's a Rotax.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'm going to ask you kind of a question that I don't think anyone's ever asked you. I don't know if anyone else will ever ask you this. We'll see in your career as you progress through the different models. I'm going to get into your head a little bit here, Hugh, and ask you that if you woke up tomorrow and you were actually a vehicle, could be a kart, race car, whatever, not what you want to be, but how you perceive yourself and your focus on racing and your drive as a human being, what would Hugh Barter be and why?
Oh, definitely a first. I don't know. My favorite car probably doesn't describe my personality, which is the McLaren P1.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. I just like the look at that car, the sound of that car, just pretty much everything about that car. Yeah. I don't know what describes my personality. I think I'm more to the side of like, with anything that comes and hits me, I push through. I've had a lot of eventful things go on in my career so far, we've always gotten through it. Not just me, the whole family was. And my driving style, you could also say, it's pretty more to the smooth side of things. Good. That's just how I kind of started, and that's how it's always been. Yeah. I'm not saying that, it's the best way, because there's so many driving styles, and there's so many different ways to go fast. Yeah, so
smooth is fast is what I've heard from a lot of coaches.
Yeah. But then you look at Ayrton Senna, and he's probably one of the most aggressive on the world.
Outlaw. He and Jacques Villeneuve, they're a little bit of some outliers, the way they drive.
Man, Jacques was ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, and Gilles. Gilles was pretty.
Jill,
was pretty good.
Jill's actually the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, I know his son. Yeah, Gilles Villeneuve is the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, you watch him drive like the Ferrari P4, P3. I mean, the way he drove was just incredible.
One of the years, Brands Hatch, when he blew up a tire.
I just kept going. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I got to get in the pits. Like, I need a new tire. Put a new tire on. Well, let's get back to answering this question for you.
Sorry,
And I know that's okay. I know this is an odd question, and I'm sure, like I said, no one's ever asked you this, and it's a little bit deep, a little ethereal. But if you think about what you just told me, you're smooth. You feel like you don't give up. You keep moving. So, is there a vehicle that you can think of? Could be any vehicle that you feel like, okay, that kind of fits me right now. May not fit you next year because your style may evolve.
It keeps going. I don't know. A smooth ride, which instantly comes to mind right now, is something like a Tesla.
Okay, no, that's okay, because here you go. That's a good answer, because Tesla, new, young car, innovative. That's what you are. It's very smooth, but very quick. Has the ludicrous mode if you want to go really fast, but if you want to just get there at the end of the race, it still keeps bringing on the power. So let's call you a Tesla. I think that works. Yeah. That works for right now. You may evolve into something different in the future. And with the future coming on with e-racing, who knows? You may be racing electric Formula One car by the time you get there. So who knows? That's going to be fast. All right, we're up to the last lap here, and I'm going to fire off some questions. I'm going to get some very quick blips of that Tesla throttle. I guess you can't blip a Tesla throttle, can you? Let's call it the blips of the McLaren P1 throttle. I think that would be a better sounding car. All right, Here we go. What's one of your habits, Hugh, that you believe has contributed to your success so far in racing?
Definitely fitness.
Yeah, definitely.
For the past, 2 years almost now, I think, I've been going to the gym constantly. It's just a huge a need for
so
doing this. Yeah, it's so demanding. Like, a lot of people, I go to the gym, and a lot of my friends at school go, "Why do you go to the gym for karts?" Like, you sit down and push a throttle and a brake and turn around a corner. I don't like it does frustrate me, but I do understand from their point of view. You know, why would you, like, if from an outside point of view and you're looking at someone go to the gym to race a car, it's just like, what are you doing?
Well, put them in a car in an endurance race, and they'll figure that out really quick.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to be fit. Now, being physically fit, is important. Definitely, every racer I've talked to, that's a key part of the regimen, especially these days. No more days of gym hunt, partying all night, and getting up and racing a Formula One car. You couldn't do it these days. The cars are too incredible. How about if I could let you sit down and have a drink or a meal? Probably not a liquor drink at your age. Let's say a lemonade or an iced tea. A drink or a meal with anyone who is in the racing industry, either living or deceased. Who would that racer be?
Question. The first thing that comes to mind is Ayrton Senna, but like, Ayrton was, I don't know if he'd be the best person to talk to, since, he was at such a young age, but I think Nicky would have been pretty cool to talk to. He had such a good idea of, how a car works, or even like someone like Jackie Stewart, They've got, I've actually spoken to Jackie Stewart before.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. And it's an amazing person to talk to. Yeah. Such a great knowledge in the industry about cars, what to do. It's just like someone that's got a wide expand of knowledge throughout motorsport and is just wise in general.
Yeah, he's been there, done a whole lot. That's absolutely for sure. And he was such a advocator for safety in racing as well, which was great for everybody. How about the best racing advice someone else has offered you?
Ooh. I get most of my racing advice from my engine builder, actually.
Oh, okay, is there something he's told you that has really carried through for you on the track?
Yeah. He's it's not, I don't think, so much like what advice that he gives me. It's so much more like where I can improve, and like he tells me, "Oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this?" and points out like things that I haven't done. Mm-hmm. And so he doesn't point out, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. He always says, "Why didn't you do this?"
Ah, there you
go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he kind of makes me explain to him why that, and then he's like, "I don't care." So it's like, we have a really good relationship, and he's been building my engine since I started karting.
Yeah.
And so I think one of them, has been like blocking. That's like a really important thing in motorsport, just defending your position and knowing when to defend your position, because someone might be 0.3 quicker than you and is going to be carrying a train behind you.
Yeah.
Whether or not to let him go and just follow him and try to stick with him in his tow might be a better option than blocking. So even though he's carrying a train behind you and you're taking that small risk, that's probably a better way, because if you start blocking and then more people start coming back onto the train, and then eventually he gets desperate, makes a move on you and pushes you wide off into the grass, you're going to be losing more spots than what you initially did.
Now, I always ask my guests for a resource. I would like to maybe do a shout out to some of your current sponsors who are helping you on your track, because sponsorship in racing is so important. Are there a few sponsors you'd like to do a quick shout out for?
Yeah, definitely. Up and Go and Tridel, they've helped me heaps throughout my karting industry, and it's just a huge help from them. I really couldn't have done anything like this without them. They've helped me so much, and it's just amazing what they've done for me. Nito, and they've just helped. I think they come on board last year, and they're really fun, helping me with my Instagram, and he's a really nice guy. Definitely check him out. He's just starting up a business up, so it's really cool because we're kind of on the same path, sort of thing. He's starting his business up. I'm kind of climbing my way up to the top through different categories. So we're kind of sharing the same experience and helping each other out. I'll do stuff like this for him. It's really cool. So definitely go check him out. Go check all of them. They're really good.
Okay. You know what I'll have you do is send me links to those so I can put those up on your show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. So you listeners out there can go check out Hugh Barter on carsyeah.com. Just type Hugh in the search bar, Hugh Barter, and that page will pop up with Up and Go and Trido and Nito and any other sponsors you'd like to do a shout out to, so we can give them a nice accolade for what they're doing and helping you in your racing. How about a book? Now, I mentioned Jacques Dallaire, Performance Prime. It's a great book for anybody, business or racing, that want to figure out how to get their head straight. Is there another book that perhaps you've read that you found beneficial you'd like to share?
Oh man, I've got lots of books.
Well, maybe just one that stands out.
I've read a Terence Dove's book before. He's a driver coach in the UK. But I think I actually enjoyed reading Mark Webber's book. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, the steps that he took to get towards F1 and how hard he had to train. So it just shows you, how Australia isn't probably the great place to start off, because it's so isolated in where it is, and the currency exchange isn't all too great. But it shows you how dedicated he was towards getting there, and so many. I've also heard things that he's had to done to get to where he was.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great book, and I'll make sure I put a link to this book. Aussie Grit, I believe, is the title of Mark Webber's book. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yep.
Subtitle, My Formula One Journey. I'll make sure I put a link to that. And also this other book by Terence. I'll make sure we find that one and put that on Hugh's show notes page. There's a great place on the Cars Yeah website where you can find all these books that all my inspiring automotive enthusiasts have offered. There's over 1,600 books listed there under the resources tab on the website, so check it out. Guest recommended books. All right, Hugh, we're up to the checkered flag here. I got a bit of a doozy for you. I'm going to buy you a cool car today. Okay, I know you can't quite drive yet. Is 16 the legal driving age in Australia, or is it a little older?
Is that a question that I know? I haven't really took too much interest into driving a car on the road yet.
Well, you better if you're going to be a race car driver.
Yeah, I know. I think it's 16. Yeah.
16. Okay. Well, here's
16, 17?
16, 17. Okay, well, here's the question I have for you, or the thought I have for you. I'm going to buy you a very cool car today, something you can drive on the road. Since you're going to be a race car driver, teams will provide the cars, not me. But there's a couple rules to this game. One is you can't sell it. So if you pick an expensive car, you've got to keep it, because I know you're a smart young man. You'd probably sell it, and that would fund your racing for the next few years. So if you pick a Ferrari GTO, you're stuck with one, my friend. I want you to have a car you can enjoy and drive. No garage queens, as we call call them here, dust collectors. But here's the key. It's the only cool car you can have. It could be a supercar. It could be an old classic car. Anything you want, I'm going to buy for you today. What would you like?
I'm actually kind of going to more towards the classic cars right now.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, it's kind of come to mind. Yeah, I really do like Porsches though.
Okay, good job.
They're like a nice fancy car. They're pretty. How do I explain it? They got like a really nice personality to it. I feel like you
There
see
you go.
a Porsche driver and you just see that I kind of give them respect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I
It's
like
like
to hear
instant
that. I'm a
respect.
Porsche guy, so I love that. Is there a specific model? Would you like an older one or a newer one?
In saying that, I don't really know the old ones, so it's
Okay.
a bit of a pain. But I know the 911 RSR, the old model. That's a pretty nice car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You look good in that. I think so. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do here. I'll give this a little thought, and I'll pick out maybe a 911 RSR, maybe something older from the 70s, part of the IROC racing series, or an RS Carrera Lightweight, which you can drive on the track or the street. That's a pretty cool car. So does that sound good for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'll get to work. Is there a color you like yours to be?
Ooh, navy blue.
Navy blue. Okay, I can do that for you. There's some great blue colors that Porsche builds. So there you go. Hugh, you've taken me on a fun ride today. You are quite a sharp young man. I'm so happy that we connected and I could share your story and your inspiration with my listeners. Before I let you go, though, would you offer our listeners maybe one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance when it comes to life or racing, whatever it is, before you race off into the sunset in that navy blue 911 RS Lightweight?
Yeah, definitely. I would just say, just never give up, no matter what anyone says or anyone does. It's your dream, and don't let anything get in the way of that.
Nicely said. Perfect. I think every race car driver I've had on the show have used those words, and they work for racing. And you know what? They work for life too. Hey, how can people follow along with your racing career?
I do have social media, and I also have a webpage, and after every 2 rounds of the Pro Tour and the Nationals, so those 2 rounds being those 2 different championships, I do send out a newsletter, and you can choose whether or not to subscribe, I guess, towards that on my webpage, and you can go check that out. And I have a Facebook and Instagram profile.
What's your website name? What is it? What's the URL for that?
I think it's just HughBarterRacing.com.
Cool. I'll make sure I get that right, and I put that up on Hugh's or show notes page here on the Cars Yeah website so you can follow along. I'll also put links to all his social media so you can keep up with him. Make sure you follow him, click like on those, and check out what he's doing. Sign up for his newsletter so he can keep you informed and so you can stay inspired. Hugh, thanks for being so generous today with your time and expertise and for sharing your life with me. You're a very smart young man. I think you're going to go long ways here in this racing career. I have no doubt. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you're listening to Cars Yeah, you've probably spent some time working on your favorite ride. But how confident are you working on your finances? You may be able to rebuild a fuel injection system, but can you decipher the details of a mutual fund? If you're like me, investments, insurance, annuities, budgeting, and other financial concepts may seem a bit daunting, but what if I told you there's a book that describes these subjects and more in an easy-to-read and a very humorous way? My friend Chris Kimball, CFP, a longtime sponsor and past guest here on Cars Yeah, has written that book, and it's titled The Saga of Ike and Penny, a couple's humorous journey through the confusing world of finance. It's a fun look at things you need to know, everything from investing to effective ways to get rid of credit card debt, and it's probably the only book on finance with a VMAX on the front cover and a classic Mini Cooper on the back. The book's available at Amazon for just $10, and this book will dramatically improve the direction of your financial future. I gave copies to each of my children. All securities are through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Christopher Kimball Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Get your copy, The Saga of Ike and Penny, today.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah!